ALGS roster updates continue, and we've got some retirements in the mix as well. And we've also got organizations seemingly backing out of Apex once again. And for what reason? Well, rumor goes around that Apex or EA is closing down a department or program that they had that we felt as viewers brought a lot of value. Unfortunate, but obviously let's dive in and talk about everything going on in the scene. First off, wanted to make mention some crazy talks going around in the Falcons camp. Waltzy had gone on stream to give his take about the current situation of the rosters right now and the players in the game and what Hal's capable of and how Hal is a teammate and Zero as an IGL, who's the best in the world, what roster could even work in all this roster mania. You know, there's a lot of conversation going is, you know, who needs who in order to be successful. Well, in all of this, a lot of people have kind of been questioning Hal's statements that he made months ago. We talked about, like, deep down inside, he knows he's like a born IGL. He knows that he is a leader, and it does feel a little weird not being a leader in this current roster scenario. And it kind of, like, if you watched that video months ago, you kind of thought maybe Hal will go back to being an IGL at some point. Maybe he will go to a different roster at some point in order to do that. But obviously you watched our video from a couple of days ago and you saw Hal was also talking about possibly retiring from Apex after this year, depending on how the game is. Well, in all of this, Waltzy kind of gave his idea as being one of the players inside of that roster as to who's the best and why Hal is not the best IGL, and doesn't even call him a top 2 IGL, which I thought was kind of crazy. But then again, Hal's also not been IGLing for a bit now. It's basically kind of, you know, maybe you could just claim, well, even if he was to IGL, he would be rusty. So give an argument, whatever. But here's what Waltzy had to say. He had a lot of crazy takes, and a lot of people have been giving their thoughts on it. So let me know what you think. Roll it.
Yeah, I don't know. We kind of like hit a reset. Reese called insanely well. Reese called insanely well the whole end. We should have definitely won finals, and like none of that is on Reese, like, at all. That was all of that is purely me and Hal, like, just fucking up. And no, Hal did not. I hate that, bro. I seen a stupid fucking Dr. Disrespect video about Hal IGLing and like saving fucking Reese's career, bro. Hal didn't IGL a single fucking game. That shit is so brain dead. While I am on the team, Hal will never IGL a game. Yeah, for sure. Zero does gap Hal. Are you asking if he gaps Hal as an IGL or as an IGL? Yes. Bro, I've always said, bro, the way that Hal wins lands, bro, is, I don't know. Like, in my opinion, it's just like he's just the best player, not the best IGL. So it's like he knows what needs to happen, and he knows what he needs to do. But in my opinion, he's not the greatest at calling it. He just does it. If you give Hal two good players that just know to fucking follow him and know how to like think for themselves, he'll win lands. Like, he could leave this team right now, he'll still win lands. I totally fucking believe it. And it'll just go back to being Reese versus Hal. Like, he's definitely not the best IGL, but he knows what needs to happen. I don't know, he's weird, bro. Yeah, he's definitely got, like, fucking top 2 game sense and IQ. It's just his way of fucking delivering it to his teammates is just what he lacks.
Now, speaking of rosters, we've got to talk not only about the rosters themselves, but the organizations, because there is a lot of conversation going around, and it basically started from this, or at least this is where a lot of the theories are coming from. Yoru, which is an Apex Legends leaker, mostly for actual in-game stuff, but this was basically ALGS related, that here's a rumor: EA or Respawn is terminating, or at least has already terminated. He said basically behind the scenes it is terminated, and it is a rumor that it is already terminated, not going to be terminated. ALGS partner teams might be a thing of the past. And it's crazy because if you look at this, I mean, yeah, I mean, some of these rosters, some of these organizations have not really been around, or they're not very prevalent anymore. So I guess it kind of makes sense. You kind of thought, well, one of these guys leaves, who, you know, maybe takes the replacement. And that just really hasn't been the case, right? They haven't really announced, well, hey, now that Dark Zero's gone, or hey, now that XSET is gone, or hey, now that so-and-so is not really, you know, in the limelight anymore, here's the new roster that's going to take the place of this partnered team. That never really happened. And you can even see over here, you had Luminosity, but it was like the LG Shivas, and those rosters are so gone, so far gone now. Things have changed so much now. So it's really hard to tell what was even the latest on that program, but everybody was hyped because they're like, oh, EA's finally supporting the orgs, they're finally supporting the teams. And anyways, it looks like maybe potentially, rumor has it, that is now terminated. That would be insane, because it would also make sense, because you're seeing a lot of stuff go on. Number one, Cloud9. They've been in, they've been out, they've been in, and now they're back out. Cloud9, obviously, just a couple of days ago, said today marks their last day of the iteration of Cloud9 Apex, and flying their banner for the memories and years of pure raw Apex. Thank you. And a shout out to obviously all of their teammates and coach as well. Now, we did cover in the past that one of the players had said Cloud9 was stepping out of the scene. And so while we knew that was coming, it's now official from the organization themselves. This marks not only one, but many others over the last couple of months that have made their exit out of the scene as well. This comes after SSG literally talked about wanting to come back in the scene because they left. Apex doesn't support us. Blah, blah, blah. They're back. They win a LAN and then they leave. And then they say they want to come back, but they never came back. What in the world is going on? Is Apex in that same position where they don't feel like EA is supporting them anymore? You've also got Furia. I don't really know what's going on. Last year, we heard rumors that Furia would potentially be getting rid of all of their United States talent, whether it be just or esports organizations, content creators, whatever, or esport players. That was the rumor. Keon had even made mention that, hey, it's kind of all known. We all know we're Furia is basically has kind of already made it clear that they're getting rid of the USA stuff. And the difference between yesterday and today in the scrims is that Furia is no longer labeled as Furia, but Furia Friends. Now, and on top of that, Vax is not here. What's the context in all of this? Well, obviously there could be many reasons, right? Some people are not showing up for scrims for whatever reasons, personal reasons. Maybe there's no roster implications to really be said here, but we did see from Keon's clip a couple of days ago that Vax had already expressed interest from wanting to leave this roster and go somewhere else, and then he had a deal that fell through, and so that's where a lot of conversations kind of sparked back up. Is Furia also looking to detach themselves from this roster? I don't know. Furia was the one that actually shut down all of that drama that had happened the other day, which makes you think they're gonna stay in the scene. They're gonna stay with this roster. They're gonna stay with these specific players. However, it's still noteworthy that these guys were playing with each other the other day. Knocked Madness Keon as Furia, and now it is still the same roster, but playing as Furia Friends. Doesn't mean anything. I don't know. Just take it for what you will. Just kind of pointing out stuff that's been posted all over the place. So shout out to Suspicious Nature 304 on the competitive Apex Reddit thread who spotted that out. Also in the news, Dogma, obviously the former, what was it, Gangbar Tucson or something like that, but like the OG roster, those guys have been playing with each other for so long. Obviously he's played for a good bit of teams out there, one being Crazy Raccoon, of course, but basically he's retiring. It's over, right? And so a lot of people are still worried that in all of this, you're still getting retirements, you're still getting OGs that are moving on. The specific tweet saying, "I will retire as a player after year 4. After working so hard for so long, I will be sad to miss my last world championships. I would like to thank all of his teammates, his coaches, and all these other players over the years who have worked on the same team and very hard in that as well. Thank you to all the fans who have supported us so far. I have a desire to become a coach in the future. Please contact me if there are interested companies." So it's nice to obviously see that some people want to stick it out in the scene, but just not as players. So take it for what you will. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a bad thing in your mind. Also, Funk, this is a big one, right? We saw Sykes announce a roster would drop the other day, and also Zapto and Talmadge as the coach. Well, then you thought, okay, is LG still going to stick together, or are they just going to make a one-player change? What is going on? We also saw their analyst had moved on and go to a new team. So what's going on here? Well, Funk also comes out to say he's looking for a team in year 5, open to NA and EU offers that just want to win. This kind of insinuates that Sweet has found his next location. I would assume Sweet found a new team, and maybe they're all going to a new organization. I would imagine Sweet doesn't seem like someone who would be orgless. So obviously LG is not in the picture anymore. They're looking for a new roster, but time will tell where Sweet lands in just a couple of days. I'm sure we'll find that out. But one thing I really want to note again, this NA plus EU is all over the place. You're seeing North America players used to years ago. I mean, it was no other option. North America is the only option because North America is where all the good players at, but now that's not the case anymore. I love that we're living in a multi-regional scene where it's practical, right? You can go to EU and get great practice. Alliance is such a good team, if not like definitely a top 2 team, arguably number 1 if you want to consider like just firepower. They've always got the most like points, it seems, even though they get second. They're not always closing out match point, but they're always dropping kills. They're always high placement. They're always like top in points. They've got so much firepower. They win World Cup. They get second at champs. I mean, these guys are a force to be reckoned with, seriously. And so now you're seeing these players, they're open to EU, even though they're from NA. I remember years ago when that EU was like so weak and nobody wanted to go over there. So interested to see how all of this plays out, because you may have some big North American assets to go overseas to play for some of these other teams. And how much better will that make some of their teams, right? If you're looking at an alliance situation, and you look at a Funk pickup, right? I mean, no hate to any of the players over there, but imagine one of the God Squads in the EMEA picking up a God Squad or a very talented North American controller player. Do you consider a North American controller player, like an average North American controller player, well, maybe one of the best in the EMEA? I don't know. That's obviously your opinion, but I think Funk would probably be one of the top 3 controller players in EU. My personal opinion. Maybe that's totally wrong. Let me know what you guys are thinking down in the comment section below. Like and subscribe if you want to stay up to date with everything going inside of the world of Apex Legends esports news. Until the next time, we'll see you all later.